Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
What's up, guys? Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and in this video we are going to be discussing some of the Bad Batch Season 3 with what the trailer has revealed into the regards of Ventress especially. Really just going over and explaining everything, breaking it all down for you guys that might still be a bit confused of exactly what's going on. Also into the regards of some of the news and reveals that we've heard from some of the producers that are working on the show as well. We of course are going to go ahead, we're going to break it all down for you guys for exactly what is going on here. Before we do though, however, grab that subscribe button if you haven't already, as we're discussing and covering all types of Star Wars related news, leaks, rumors, theories, and breakdowns here on the channel. So if you guys are into any of that, go ahead and grab that subscribe button today. Okay, so in this video we are going to be taking a quick read from StarWarsNews.com, and with what they have to say into the regards of this, it kind of reignites this kind of ongoing question of just canon and what qualifies as canon exactly, and how to kind of even stay up to date with that sort of thing. Now, I think a given rule that if it's like new from Disney, then it's going to be canon. Now, that's just kind of like how they roll the dice here. The only thing that isn't included in that we've ever seen is the Star Wars Visions, both of those volumes, and then probably presumably volume 3 there as well. Those are the only Disney projects that haven't ever been canon. So everything else revealed and released, from shows, movies, to the novels, comics, and even video games, are all a part of canon. So before we begin with this highly sensitive topic as they read, allow me to say that I'm not the gigantic fan of the Bad Batch for one. StarWarsNews.com reads that they thought that the first season was kind of a mess, but the second one was much better than it had any right to be. I'm also not a biggest canon person either, they say. I've read some of the comics and a few novels, though I'm yet to actually get my hands dirty with the High Republic books, and I can testify I am in the same boat. I've read a couple comics, a few novels here and there, but I'm not all in with it. I was aware that Asajj Ventress was not around much anymore though, however. That's a basic understanding though, however, after the Clone Wars animated show seems to now have wrapped up, and that the details were addressed in some way in the Christie Golden's Dark Disciple novel from 2015. But with the release of the trailer of the Bad Batch Season 3, my Star Wars News Net colleagues, StarWarsNews.com reads, and mostly the internet, have filled me in with exactly what's going on here. Of course, we think that the trailer was pretty dang good, and strangely, I'm kind of looking forward to the new season, they say. I've predicted a shorter 12-episode run to wrap up the main storyline and move on to other things, and in the end, it will just be one episode shorter than the previous seasons. As to why they would do that, I'm not exactly sure why. And I did think that it would go up fairly early in the year. Had you told me about that February date back in November of last year, I would have said, yeah, that lines up. But I'd given up on that when we didn't have any promos for in a few weeks into the new year. It's going to be an interesting month though, however, and they definitely are ramping up the overall promotion and marketing and everything here for the Bad Batch Season 3 for February 21st with its 3-episode premiere, being the first Star Wars Disney Plus show of the new year. It's going to be a jam-packed year of Star Wars Disney Plus releases, especially with the likes of Star Wars Skeleton Crew, The Acolyte, Tales of the Jedi Season 2, and also the Bad Batch there as well. I'll continue to keep you guys updated with all of it here on the channel. Anyway, I digress. Of course, the trailer saved a big reveal for the end of the trailer, with the Bad Batch encountering the return of Asajj Ventress with a new look. Star Wars fans' minds immediately collapsed when they realized that the new season takes place in a timeline after the events of the Dark Disciple novel, and as I had mentioned earlier on, a basic understanding, even for those of you that aren't necessarily canon crazy, let's say, exactly, I think that there's a basic understanding out there that, well, Asajj Ventress' character after the Clone Wars animated show just isn't really around all that much. See, met her demise in the Dark Disciple novel, and that Ventress should be dead by then. A statement by the supervising director, Brad Rowe, a producer on the Bad Batch animated show, trying to calm the masses and asked for patience, saying that they're aware of Christie Golden's novel of Dark Disciple and that it didn't suffice. It's still going to be a part of canon. So for one, Brad Rose, coming forward and saying that yeah, it's still going to be canon, there seems to be a bit of a common thread that's gone gone on with Star Wars in the lately, especially in the last couple of years, that does have Star Wars fans upset. Of course, we're all excited to see the return of Ventress, which honestly I was surprised about to see that kind of reaction from the Star Wars community. People always kind of seem to turn around and kind of diss it, like, oh, Star Wars can't keep a character dead. Boba Fett, the Grand Inquisitor, Darth Maul. I think those are all prime examples of that. What's one more? Ventress, Palpatine as well in the mix with the sequel trilogy. But for one, Brad Rowe, the producer of The Bad Batch, coming forward and saying that, yeah, it's still canon, we're going to be respecting it and everything like that. For one, there's that. But for another, can we just watch the show first and see exactly what goes on with that? And get the details and the context of the scene before we waste too much time on this topic. It feels a bit dumb and numb to say that while I'm spending my Sunday evening writing about this Star Wars News.com reads, and I own that, I also admit that if the show comes out and it retcons Dark Disciple in any way, it probably won't, that they honestly wouldn't care in the least. Now, I myself, as unofficial Star Wars, I would kind of care, to be honest with you guys, because it seems to be a bit of a running gag. With the Book of Boba Fett, Luke Skywalker randomly pulling out Yoda's lightsaber when it was said to have been destroyed in the Star Wars comics, now kind of just ruining a line of those comics all of a sudden in a way, not necessarily ruining them, but making them not a part of the canon. It feels disruptive in a way, and I think that there's a better way to continue on the storytelling while working around those books and novels and respecting them, which, as especially in this case, they've given us their word that they're going to work around the Dark Disciple novel and giving us their word that they're not going to ruin it not being a part of canon or anything of that nature. So if they turn around and stab us in the back with that, I'll be a bit disappointed, to say the least. The overall idea of interconnected canon storytelling was quite cute at first when Kathleen Kennedy announced it over a decade ago, but now it became such a pointless source of the controversy that we don't know if it's worth it anymore. Even though we haven't dived in quite yet, I applaud and admire the concept of the High Republic novels as a publishing initiative, a section of the storyline removed from everything else in canon to the point of where there is no space for those takeaways, and readers of those stories can just worry about the only thing that really matters, enjoying them, enjoying the story, not getting too fussed and confused of exactly all these other different mediums in a way, essentially. Now, that isn't to say that the High Republic obviously isn't branching off into those other mediums with the Acolyte show releasing on Disney Plus a little bit later this year, but you guys get the point. If yours more concealed in a way, and we need more of that in a galaxy far, far away. We've never really understood the clamoring for the acknowledgments of the novel and comic book Star Wars News.com reads on the big screen. Are you really spending hundreds of hours, that much money, so that you can have a few seconds of that satisfaction when a character mentions something that you read about in a book or a novel or a comic or whatever the case may be? I think the clear-cut answer to that is that that kind of thing should just kind of be a given. I definitely think that adds on to it. We've probably upset half of our readership with that thought they read, but they truly mean it, they think. Overall, there is this other idea of that Ventress in The Bad Batch Season 3 is actually going to be a flashback. I completely disagree with this. The Bad Batch especially hasn't ever done flashbacks, and for a character like Ventress, what's the point of that even, quite honestly? It could happen, never say never, but given that, let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. I would love to hear what you guys are all thinking, your thoughts and opinions and theories in the comments down below. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been Unofficial Star Wars. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.